We're talking about UFC 7. UFC 7 was the debut of Mystery Man Marco Ruas, also known as Marco Pujas, also known as Marco Ruas. When he was introduced, he was described as a highly regarded grappler, and on the graphic for Tale of the Tape, his age was left with question marks. This event was also the debut of Mark Hall. Ken Shamrock versus Oleg Tiktarov was the super fight, since Ken Shamrock beat Dan Severn at UFC 6. This was also the first event to be held in New York, and the first appearance of World Championship kickboxer Don Wilson as part of the broadcasting team. Some of the fighting styles included in this event would be Praying Mantis Kung Fu, Jiu-Jitsu, Shotokan Karate, Luta Livre, Goju Ryu Karate, Hungar and Tai Chi Chuan, Trap Fighting, and Muay Thai. This would be an 8-man tournament. The semi-final fights would be 20 minutes, and the finals and super fights would both be 30 minutes with a 3-minute overtime if necessary. Some notable moments from this event were Jerry Harris tapping the strikes from Paul Varelans, and seemingly neither of them had any idea how to fight on the ground. Harold Howard coming out in a wife beater against Mark Hall and getting beaten down. The fact that the UFC broadcast team did not know how old Marco Ruas was, but assumed that he was older than Remco Pardue.
Well, there's no doubt that Pardue is younger. By how many years, we don't know.
In his fight against Marco Ruas, Remco Pardue held a standing guillotine choke for a record 5 minutes before it broke. Tiktarov versus Shamrock spent 95% of the time on the ground, with neither man throwing strikes or attempting any submissions. When they were finally stood up in overtime, Ken landed the most significant strikes of the fight, although it ended in a draw because there were no judges. In the second half of his finals matchup against Paul Varelans, Ruas realized he didn't need to throw any punches and simply finished Paul Varelans via low kicks 13 minutes into the fight. This would mark the first UFC event to ever be stopped from low kicks.